Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our third episode of the Don't Cry Over Spilled Ink podcast.
Third and final episode.
For now.
Let us know if you love us.
Yeah. But today's episode is called Booked and Bankrupt, and it's a combo episode between just talking about some books that we've both read so we can discuss, and then also just answering some questions about, book preferences.
Yeah,
what do we like?
What
do we like in a good book?
Yeah.
All right, so to kick us off, Erin, do you want to go ahead with the bell jar?
The bell jar. We both read this pretty recently, so
we also did in our English literature class, we did a unit on Sylvia
Plath. First of all, very sad story. Mm-hmm. Sorry to Sylvia Plath. Sorry, girl. But this book, similarly, was not it for me. Mm-hmm. Again, the problem that I had was the racism. Yeah. There were a few...
That's a pretty big problem.
Yeah, it's a pretty good reason, pretty big problem. A few too many comments about racism. And it was just again, the only person who had ever pointed out to me that this book was racist was someone I know who is black. And I'm like, where is this energy from everybody else? Again, I talked to somebody else on the book account. Shout out, Starry Reads. I know her account. Love it. She messaged us saying
I hope she sees this.
Yeah, I hope she does too. Please let us know if you're watching
If you do, girl.
Message us, let us know. But she wrote a comment and she was like, this book on TikTok is such sad girl book talk, dark academia, when in reality it's super harmful. Again,
it's marketed as edgelord.
Yes.
And it's really
yes, it's giving
in some ways, but
in some ways I think it was, we both talked about this, beautiful imagery, description.
You can really because obviously Sylvia Plath as a poet, I saw a lot of that. Particularly, I don't know if I told you this, but the black patent leather comes up in literally so many of her poems, and also the book. The patent leather shoes and the briefcase and the little thing that she has to match the briefcase.
Yeah. She likes patent leather.
That and tulips.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do remember the tulips.
Right. And I personally like the language. I like the way it was written, and you could tell that it was written by a poet.
Yeah, it was very good language, very good diction, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I did like the representation of depression, actually, because it was presented very much, rather than her complaining about her life, it was very much, I'm doing all these amazing things, why can't I enjoy myself? Yeah. And that I did like. However, the racism cannot be ignored. Yeah. I mean,
how dare he serve two types of beans? That was insane. Why is that offensive?
Why? She's in the mental hospital. Again... a spoiler if you haven't read it. Yeah. She's in the mental hospital, and this man who's waiting on her, who's black, gives her two kinds of beans, and then she proceeds to physically assault him and beat him up. The only
viable reaction.
Yeah, because it's offensive. And I talked about it with somebody, and they were like, "Oh, she's mentally ill."
And
what? So she's allowed to literally physically assault.
I know a lot of mentally ill people. They are yet to assault me if I try to serve them two of the same vegetable.
Yeah, and it was just. And again, the way the people of color were characterized in this book was not it. The black man serving her the beans was funny. He was laughing. He walked away comically.
Trying to be nice.
Yeah, girl. What? He doesn't have to be passive because she's being aggressive. It was just.
He was trying to diffuse the situation. Yeah.
And again, Sylvia Plath is white. Yeah. She's American, and she compares herself.
Oh my god.
To an Asian woman when she thinks she looks ugly. So that's literally just saying that.
That's... Whoa.
And then at another point, she's talking about her friend who looks stupid, who looks like she doesn't have a thought in her head. Yeah. And she describes her as a black woman who bleached her hair. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything?
That was so deliberate. She really had to use the...
She did. She was like, where can I fit in racism here? Yeah. Where can I make this comment? And it's just again, this book was being so praised on TikTok, dark academia, girly, this is giving... Have you seen 10 Things I Hate About You? Mm-hmm. Kat Stratford, Rory Gilmore, these smart feminist women. Sylvia Plath is very much presented as feminist literature. And I think a big problem with feminism, not to get into the whole political discussion, but is that we're not talking about how women's rights are even worse for people of color.
Exactly.
And for Sylvia Plath to be praised as a feminist author when she's putting out pieces of work that, have the N-word, not this book specifically, but...
Just because you market yourself as a feminist, but you're still hating on Black women.
Yeah.
They're still women.
Black
so
women,
what are
Asian
you doing?
women. Yeah, so where's the feminism part?
Right.
Where's the feminism part?
I'm missing it.
Yeah, like, it's not really giving me feminism.
Yeah.
Like, I really wanted to like it because I very much love Kat Stratford, Rory Gilmore, the characters we see, like, reading Plath. Like, I'm reading Plath. I'm so much better than you. Look at me. Like, I'm reading The Bell Jar. And this was my top want to read 2022. I wanted to read this book, and I was like, I was really disappointed.
It was disappointing. And like a thing that I found very unfortunate is, like you said, like this idea of like the smart, confident woman. Yeah. You know, she's out in New York.
She's a writer.
She's left, like, she's in the big city now. She's going at it. She's trying to make a name for herself.
Manipulating men. Like, she's giving.
You know, and like the thing is that it's just so disappointing to see that kind of like type.
Yeah.
Be paired with like really racist thoughts and just being completely unhinged.
Yeah, literally unhinged.
And I get that she was severely mentally ill. I get that there were autobiographical details, very, very strong autobiographical details throughout the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
I get that. And I get that she's trying to tell a very unfiltered, raw story about her experience with mental illness and like, you know, the psychiatric hospital and therapy. And that is something that I think can be appreciated to an extent about the book. But I just think that just because you're doing one right thing doesn't give you the right to do a wrong thing.
Exactly. I really wanted to like it, and I didn't. It's just, again, racism is just so ignored. I find in a lot of books that are presented in this book community, we see these books being presented. This is it, guys. This is the book. This is 2022 book. Like, and then it's literally just blatant racism mixed with a few beautiful imagery. Like, okay, girl. Like,
and I mean, food for thought. Yeah. Sylvia Plath wrote this book, you know, a couple decades ago. Yeah. A Little Life, which we talked about in earlier episodes, also deals a lot with mental illness and trauma and, you know, abuse of certain behaviors, right? And self-harm. And notice how A Little Life, like, I'm not saying A Little Life is like the end all be all of perfect, like, mental health literature, but I'm saying that I feel like A Little Life did a good job of like portraying, you know, what is it like to deal with trauma, like severe trauma? Yeah. What is it like to deal with mental illness? How does it affect your relationships without being inherently racist in a way that was justifying it? Yeah. Without like being, you know, looking for excuses to be offensive just because you're doing this great progressive thing, you're talking about mental health. And I just, you know, you can say all you want about, you know, this could have been done, that could have been done, but this is supported. We've seen it done. Yeah, exactly.
Know? Yeah, it just wasn't it. It really wasn't it. Okay. All again, we could probably talk about that book for literally hours. Like, oh my gosh. 10 minutes talking about the exact same book.
Okay, sorry, guys. We're going to have to speed through.
Yeah, okay. The Song of Achilles.
Moving
to a very different tone. Yeah. Absolute fave. Literally one of the... I'm surprised we didn't mention it earlier in our favorite books. I think it's just because it's been a while since I read it. Yeah. Beautifully executed, beautifully written. It felt to me very much like a classic piece of literature. I love Greek retelling, usually. Mm-hmm. And it was just... I really liked it. I really liked the plot. I'm wearing a necklace right now that has like the Morse code quote that says "Have my soul." Got it for Christmas. Shout out my mom. But yeah, I really liked it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the fantasy Greek retelling kind of thing. That is not my shtick at all.
Wow, Anisa.
At all, usually.
You call yourself a reader.
But I really enjoyed this. I really did. I was very pleasantly surprised. I know that Erin was harassing me to read this book. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I did have my doubts. Yeah. But I was very positively surprised.
Yeah. I think a big difference with this book and a lot of other Greek retelling fantasy book was, I think this was more character driven rather than the Greek plot itself. Mm-hmm. Like, I've read a few Greek tellings where it's all plot, all Trojan War. Like, we've seen that redone. Yeah. We could just go read the Odyssey.
Giving Sparta.
Yeah, we could just go read that right now. Yeah. But the Greek retelling twisted with the obviously gay love story. I just really, really liked it. This isn't a book that I've seen any kind of like controversy about. Like, I haven't seen, because sometimes with a lot of books that present gay relationships, I see gay people talking about how it's kind of harmful, fetishizing, harmful. It's always the straight girls, like, profiting off of this, like, but I personally haven't seen that with this book. I think it was, again, beautifully written, beautifully executed. I love the imagery. The war, the ending was actually sad. It actually made me upset. Unlike some other books TikTok has claimed was sad. This was a book that I got off TikTok that I actually ended up liking.
Also, another thing is lately, I mean, I feel like most of us, if you're watching this, you're probably into books. And I think that this is a very relatable experience for a lot of people. But when I was younger, I read all the time. I read like crazy. And then like the moment that I got into middle school, I stopped reading entirely. And then I picked it up again like a while ago.
It's giving academic burnout. That's the experience.
And the thing is, ever since like I stopped reading, you know, once I entered middle school, because I thought I was going to be such an edgelord.
You were.
No, like... You know, and like ever since, I've never had that thing of like, oh my God, just one more chapter. Yeah. You know, and I had that with this book. I was up at like on my summer nights on vacation. I was up reading this book. And as I was doing that, like I noticed myself doing it. I was like, this is really nostalgic. And this is like it makes me feel good, you know? Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, like the reason that we do this, the reason that we do read is it's supposed to make you feel good. It's also supposed to educate and, you know, be thought-provoking. But it's so nice, like amongst so many like dark and like heavy books to read something that makes you want to like, you know, keep going in like a lighthearted, fun kind of way.
Yeah. And while it was like a sad ending, it was still like more lighthearted, I would say. Yeah. And it, again, it's a kind of book that I feel like is pretty timeless. I see people talking about it on TikTok still. Yeah. And I'm like, damn. And she's writing well done. And the author, Madeline Miller, she's writing a book about Persephone now. I'm really looking forward to that. That one's gonna be good. I'm really looking forward to that because I've yet to see a retelling of Persephone that's not like that could be really interesting. Yeah, it could be really good or literally awful. But I really like. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best. Shout out Madeline Miller. She's definitely watching this. She's definitely listening.
She's our biggest fan.
Should we cut it off and then do like what we prefer in another one, or no? Should we just keep going? Rapid fire.
Sure.
Okay, fire. Rapid fire, we'll just...
Yeah, we're going to do a quick section. We realize that our episodes have gotten really long.
Sorry, guys.
So we're going to do a rapid fire quick section on book preferences. Okay, Erin, you go first. Short or long chapters? Go.
Short, obviously. I'm a short gal. It makes me feel short somehow like I'm reading faster, which is obviously not the case.
It's more digestible.
Okay.
All right.
Character-driven or plot-driven?
Oof. I'm going to be honest, plot.
Really?
Because... I feel like sometimes character-driven can be really dragged out, and then it's like giving you eating a sandwich for 3 chapters, and that really annoys me. That really annoys me, so I like a good plot-driven book, but sometimes I can really appreciate character-driven. What about you?
I'm going to pick character-driven just because a lot of the plot-driven books I read, the characters are so one-dimensional. I'm like, where's the background? Where's the personality? Especially with plot-driven books that have female main characters. I'm like, where's this woman's personality other than she likes all the men around her? Like, what's even happening? I think character-driven... But it has to be done well. It really has to be done well.
I don't want to see you eating
a sandwich. You really have to take your time to develop these characters because if they're not realistic, the character-driven plot is not going to work. Yeah. Okay. Contemporary or classics?
Okay. If you would have asked me this question like 6 months ago, I would have said classics. Yeah. I had a really big thing for classics. I still I very much appreciate them. Some of my favorite books are classics, but I think I'm really developing more of a love for contemporary now. I feel like it's giving off. Yeah, it's giving more excitement. It's giving life that I wasn't used to before. Okay, Erin.
Yeah, I would also say contemporary. I actually have only probably read like 10 classic books in my entire life. Like I really am not a classics gal. It's just so like the language for me. It's like. That lovely Peaches quote, what would you do if so when he said yes would go? I'm like, girl, what am I even reading? Like, what am I trying to digest?
Jane Austen. Yeah, when she's doing a chapter of dialogue with no clue as to who is speaking. No quotes,
no, like, and she names all of the sisters. I mean, what
like nicknames.
Nicknames. They have the exact same last name and they're all called Mrs. Whatever. I'm like, girl, what are you even talking? I could not get through Pride and Prejudice. I'm so sorry.
I read it. But then I read Little Women. Little Women, by the way...
Little Women, beautiful.
Takes the cake.
The movie, that was also so beautiful. Yeah. The 2019 one.
Yeah. Okay. Then Enemies to Lovers or Best Friends to Lovers. I think we're both going to agree on this one.
Best Friends to Lovers.
Enemies to Lovers is too stressful.
Yeah. It's not... I feel like it's not as realistic. Best Friends to Lovers, I can really place myself...
I can see that.
I can really place myself in that story.
It's more realistic, too.
It is. It would... obviously it's never really happened to either of us, but it could. Enemies to lovers is just too, like, the enemies part is too stressful. I want the lovers. I want the lovers part. I don't want the enemies part. Okay, happy or sad books?
Sad, I think.
Damn, oh my God.
I like a good sad book because it makes me think usually, and it's cathartic. Yeah. That being said, like, I'll read like 3 sad books, and then I just need like a happy, lighthearted one.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me it's the opposite. I need 3 happy books, and then I
can
to drag. Then I can do one, and then I need to be lifted back up. I'm gonna say happy books just because I feel like the romance. I can't do the romance when they die. Like if they die, girl, I can't even handle that.
Yeah,
like after tough. I read 300 pages about them falling in love, I'm like, aw, and then they get killed off.
Oh my gosh, The Book Thief is one of my favorite books. Yeah. It's like a childhood love. It's World War II. Spoiler alert, the protagonist is a girl and her love interest dies in a bombing.
I can't with that.
I cried for days.
I can't do war. Awful. I can't do dying. If you've read 1,000
Sunshine and Rainbows
Sunshine and Rainbows only. If you've read 1,000 Boy Kisses, it's so sweet, and he literally dies. So sorry about that. Okay, lastly, do you like fantasy books?
I mean, I mentioned earlier, I'm not a fantasy kind of girl. Yeah. I really am not. I cannot see myself reading most of like the fantasy books that TikTok is like hyping up. But you know what? If Erin harasses me enough, I might try.
I mean, 6 months ago, if you had asked me like what my favorite category was, I would have said fantasy. Really? I would have said fantasy. Now I feel like I'm moving much more away from that. I really haven't. I can't even remember the last time I read like an actual true fantasy book. If you've ever read Throne of Glass, I loved that. But now looking back, if I read it now, I don't think I would have liked it as much. I think fantasy, not to hate on any of the gals who like fantasy, but I feel like it's kind of a younger...
Yeah, which is fine.
It's a younger... If you like fantasy,
that's
you
great.
like fantasy. Fantasy can be really, really good. But I feel like a lot of the fantasy books I've read have been aimed towards a younger audience, and that doesn't really appeal to me as much anymore. We're too mature, and we're not like other girls. No, but
if you can't tell, we're joking.
Yeah, we're joking. We're exactly like other girls. But yeah, the fantasy,
we are other girls.
We literally are. But I think, I don't know, fantasy, I used to love like hardcore obsession, but now it's like I'll take Harry Potter and I'm good. Like and Twilight.
This is the face of a killer, Bella.
Literally diamonds. It is.
All right. Well, I think that was it for today.
Thank you, locas, for listening. Little spider monkeys.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sorry for the really fast speed run at the end there, but you know what? We made it work.
We were getting nervous. Let us know if you want us to record more of these. I mean, this was let you know, this was a project for school, but we've been rambling for a solid hour.
This was really fun.
So let us know if you enjoyed, and also if you're not from our book account, follow our book account
right now.
A.E.reads. Okay. Follow us. Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope to see you next time. If there is a next time, let us know if you like it. There will be a next time. But until then, bye-bye.
Bye, loca.